community involvement, and we are very pleased to have Michelle Goodman of Goodman Jewelers, who she and her husband have learned how to market their business as well as serve the community. And so without further ado, I'm going to introduce Michelle Goodman.
Thank you. For those of you guys who are not familiar with us, we actually opened our jewelry store here in 1988. We were in the shopping center with Food City and Kmart originally for over 27 years, and just last month moved to our new location on Main Street. We're now in the historic district in an old two-story brick house that was built in 1893, and we did a lot of renovation, a lot of work to it. Tried to keep the character of the house, but actually incorporate old meets new so that you have a nice, very eclectic jewelry store in an old historic home here in town. So we invite any of you guys, if you aren't familiar with us, come by and visit us and see what we've done, tell us what you think. So far, reviews have been good, so we're feeling pretty good about it ourselves. When I was asked to give this talk, I kind of had to step back and think a little bit, because I really had never really thought that much about how much, being in the community and involved in the community really does help your business overall. I mean, obviously by the things that we do, that is a factor that we think of when we decide to help with different charitable organizations and events and things like that. But I guess our basic philosophy over the whole thing is just pretty much as long as the community supports us and supports our business, we're going to always try and give back to the community as best we can. Because in the end, in order for our community to be better, that is only going to help prosper our business and make our life a whole lot better overall too. So there's the old saying that it's better to give than to receive, and this kind of goes hand in hand with being involved in the community and helping different organizations. There are certain things that you can do that don't even require any financial responsibility on your part. You don't have to give money. You don't have to give merchandise or things for events that are being auctioned or raffled. You can actually just donate your time. And sometimes that's part of what we do too. Sometimes it's not actually an item or money that we give, and we actually also just give our time to an organization, whether that be helping with school events. We have a 12-year-old daughter, so when she was in elementary school, we were very actively involved with the PTA there at the school, and we've spent numerous hours with PTA events, working with fall festivals and things like that too. But there are studies that show that helping with different events does do you good, is good for you also physically. It's not, sometimes you're more social, sometimes you're more interactive, helps with depression, and some people actually get a high from doing these kind of things, just like someone who gets the same high from exercise or something like that. I looked up a few numbers just to kind of throw out there. There was a survey of small business owners. This was from back in 2013, so it is a few years old, but it said that 89% of those small business owners believe that it is important to donate locally, and 48% have given $1,000 or more in the last 12 months. A lot of them, they felt like 76% felt like it was very important to donate to children's charities. That was just something that they liked themselves. So by looking at these higher numbers, I hope that we're not the only small business owners out there actually giving back to the community and doing things. And I don't think we are. I mean, we attend some of these events, so we see what all the other businesses are doing. And everybody does try to chip in and help and do what they can. You hope by doing things in the community and being active and being involved that this will actually build respect for you and your business as a whole. We hope that it helps build your reputation in the community. There are things that you do because it's a love that you have, and it's something that you believe in and you support, and you hope in return that you do get some additional benefit from this on the business level as well. You support the different charities and organizations to make our community better as a whole, not just for us specifically, but for the community as a whole. And a lot of the different things that we work with a lot of times are we try and donate to almost anybody and everybody that does walk through the door and ask for something. The one thing that we don't personally do is we do not do any personal sponsorships. I don't. If someone is in a certain particular pageant and they're wanting a sponsor, I don't sponsor, Mary Jane who's from Abingdon High School, because then, you know, the girl from John Battle or the girl from all the other schools, you know, you have to draw the line somewhere, and it's kind of hard to do a personal sponsorship. But we do sponsor different events at the schools, whether it be athletic events, you know, different groups, different, like I said, PTA things and stuff like that. And there are a lot of things in our community that we feel strongly about supporting that are different things along with your fire, your EMS, you know, a lot of your public servants, things like that, especially your fire and your EMS, because a lot of those guys are volunteers themselves. You know, you have a lot of your EMS and your fire department guys that are giving their own time to do all this. So when the fire department is having their annual dinner and they're trying to give away door prizes and stuff like that, you know, we're always donating to that, because, you know, they're already donating their time for us and their skill level. So another thing that we sometimes feel like we hope anyway is we hope that our employees, by seeing that we are supportive of these different things in the community, we hope that our employees will respect that about us and hopefully get involved themselves. We don't push anything on our employees to give or attend or do anything like that, but we hope that, you know, if they're not used to being in the environment where people are giving back to the community and making donations, you know, even if they just want to volunteer their time, we hope that, you know, it rubs off on other people indirectly from the things that we do. Another big benefit just from, you know, being involved in these different things is the fact that, you know, if you are attending any of these events, you are networking, you're meeting a lot of different people, you're exposing people to you and your business that they may have heard about you, but they may have never been in your store. But they see you at this event, or they see an item that you have donated to this event, and, you know, it may spark their interest. You know, maybe in my instance, you know, if they are a jewelry person but they have never been in my store, maybe they'll come visit us. You know, you hope that will happen just by you being at these different events and meeting these different people that you might not meet otherwise. We were asked about some of the organizations that we personally help with on a regular basis. A few of them that we do is we've done a lot of work with the Relay for Life through the years. My husband, and my daughter have personally been on different Relay for Life teams. When I worked for 15 years at Johnston Memorial Hospital before working with my husband full-time in the store, and I was on the JMH team for many years, and so, you know, did the walks, raised the money, the whole 9 yards, just as an individual. We've done everything with the Relay for Life, from corporate sponsorship to, as a family, we were on our church team. So, you know, you're there as a business, but you're also there as an individual supporting the cause. Another thing that we, like I said, we try and help a lot with a lot of the schools. With us being here in Abingdon and our pull geographically for a lot of our clients is everywhere from Smith County, Wythe County. I have a few Grayson County customers. You know, we go over as far as Boone, Blowing Rock. I go into Tennessee. I go over into the coal fields. So we have a huge geographic area that we pull from. We do have one other store in Chilhowie, Virginia. So kind of what we've done there is my Chilhowie store kind of handles Smith County and most of the schools up that way as far as donating, and then I pick up Washington County, the Tri-Cities. I donate things over into Mountain City, Boone, if someone wants to come over and actually, you know, see if there's something that we can do for them. We do a lot of things for the schools over in Russell County, and a lot of the things that we do are nothing big. I mean, it's buying a yearbook ad, it's donating for the fall festival, it's, you know, donating a door prize for the athletic banquet at the end of the year. You know, all these different things that you do, and it doesn't have to be anything big. You know, and a lot of times they'll come to you and they'll say, you know, if you'll just give me, you know, a bottle of jewelry cleaner. You know, we're just trying to hand out small things, you know, depending on what the event is. So, you know, we do, you know, little things. You know, you try and not do the same thing at every event that you're doing, but at the same time, you know, you don't have to be spending a fortune to actually get your name out there and actually be participating in the events. One of the things that that I have supported in the past is something called Baby Basics Moms Club. Just that I worked at JMH for 15 years. There I did ultrasound. That was my job. So I was doing a lot of obstetrical work, you know, and I saw the need for, you know, a lot of the moms that don't have a good support system. And that's kind of what the Baby Basic Moms Club does. So that was just something I was familiar with. And they, about once or twice a year, have a dinner for the different moms that are attending the meetings. And, you know, they like to give them a little something. So we've done that in the past. We sponsor several different golf tournaments. There are several different golf tournaments with different charities here locally that happen every year. One is the Cancer Outreach Foundation. They do an annual golf tournament. We help sponsor one through Virginia Highlands Community College that the foundation board here does. The foundation board actually raises a lot of money every year to help provide supplemental money that the college does not get, and the foundation does scholarships and things like that too. The Washington County Fair usually asks us every year to help with donations for door prizes for their pageant officials, for the ones that are actually judging the beauty pageant. And, you know, they'll come to us and they'll say, I'm going to have 3 judges this year. I've got, you know, 1 male and 2 female, you know, just some small token, just, you know, as a thank you to them. So we usually try and help do that. You know, that gets you out there to a lot of different people who are at the fair. You know, some are already your customers, some are not. Years ago, we used to have a very active American Lung Association group here. I'm not sure how active it still is, but I know they closed the state, on the state level, they actually closed the local Abingdon branch of it. But we used to help with their annual Breath of Spring Ball every year. And it was a big event that they did. It was their big annual fundraiser. And a lot of times what they liked us to do is they liked us to do a custom design piece for that. And the different board members would come to us and throw out some ideas of kind of what they would like, and we would design something and, you know, tweak it till we got their approval and everybody was happy. And then it was usually raffled off every year. And made them a ton of money for the event. I mean, we donated everything for free, and, you know, in hopes that, you know, they would make a lot of money off of it, because, you know, in our area, you know, the Lung Association is a big deal with all the, you know, the lung diseases that we have here locally. So we felt like that was an important cause to always support. And we work still with the JMH Foundation. They usually also have a big event every year, and this year it's next month. I can't remember, it's May something coming up, but they do an annual event called Boots and Bow Ties, and they raise money for different things, just whatever is needed in the JMH area. One year they were raising money for chemotherapy chairs for the new cancer center. One year they raised money for some new software for, I think it was the radiation oncology department. And this year they're raising money for new furnishings for their pediatric wing. They've just opened part of the upper floor of the hospital and actually adding additional beds to the hospital. So this year they're trying to raise money for some furnishings for that. And we've done different things for that as well. We've done everything from just donate an item to design a piece for them as well. If we have enough time, we try and do a custom design piece if the client wants that, if that's something that the organization feels would benefit them more. And this year last year they came to us, they wanted us to do the diamond earring program, where you've got 100 pair of earrings, 1 pair is the diamond earrings, all the rest are cubic zirconia. So if everybody picked, you know, they wanted number 34 or they wanted number 73 or, you know, whatever pair they were buying. And then at the end of the night, you find out who actually picked the diamond earrings. This year they actually came to us and asked if we would just give them a flat certificate, basically, for a custom design piece. So that way the person who wins it or buys it, I'm assuming they're doing it as a raffle, that whoever gets it and wins it, then they come in and they design what they want. So that way, you know, everybody usually, you know, likes whatever you design and whatever is there and all that kind of stuff, but it's more fun if they can actually come in and create something for themselves. So they thought, well, let's just do it this way, so it's a generic item, and then you guys will, you know, whoever wins it, you know, you'll take over from that point, and we'll see what they create. You know, be kind of fun then to, you know, we might do some, you know,
pictures along the way of, this was who won it, and, here's the design process, here's the wax mold, here's the casting, here's whatever stones we're using in it, and, here's the finished piece. So that's kind of what we're doing for them this year, and that will be coming up, like I said, next month at some point. So if any of you guys are interested in that, I'm sure I can get you in touch with the raffle people there. Another organization that we work with on a regular basis is the Cancer Outreach Foundation. We feel it's important to work with them because they are a totally local organization helping the cancer patients here locally, and they don't give out money to the patients. They help them fulfill whatever needs they have. They'll do anything from give them gas cards if they're having to travel back and forth long distances. Mark and I, my husband and I, are both cancer patients ourselves, so we feel like that is a very important part that we can do to give back to the community, because we know personally, how financially how that can take a toll on you, and I'm sure everyone in here probably has someone, if you've not personally been affected by it, then someone in your family or a friend has. So that's, like I said, that's an organization that we've known the people who originally started it from the ground up, and we feel very, very confident in the organization as a whole. And again, they do different events throughout the year. They do the golf tournament. They do some other smaller fundraisers. They do an annual Gala of Hope, which was in February this year, and we usually donate something to that. Sometimes they do it as part of the live auction. Sometimes they do it as a raffle, and just depending on what they're wanting. Sometimes we can do a custom piece for them also, or we can donate just something that's already pre-made. Another organization that we like to sponsor and help with here locally is the Margaret Mitchell Spay and Neuter Clinic. We like it just because we're animal lovers. We've had dogs and cats and all kinds of other animals throughout the years. They do a very good job of providing low-cost or free spays and neuters for the local community. And when I heard their numbers of how many thousands they have done over the last few years, I was kind of floored. But they do a great job with that. Another organization that we've helped with a lot through the years is the Barter Theater. Barter, a few years ago, had their 75th anniversary, and we custom designed a piece for that. It was actually a necklace that we designed kind of with a little different take on the comedy and tragedy. And so that was actually given away at their big event they had celebrating their 75th anniversary. Another organization that we help with here locally is the local March of Dimes, which you'll be hearing from NIKKI HICKS here shortly with the March of Dimes. But we work with them. Don't personally have any experience with having a premature child and in the services of the March of Dimes, but I have some friends who have, and I know they've always had a positive experience and felt like it's always very good. We help each organization differently depending on what they're doing, the time of the year, the type of event. Like I said, we're running the gamut here from everything from school PTA events, athletic fundraisers for schools, to door prizes for annual dinners, to attending their annual big charity event, and something usually bigger and nicer for that kind of stuff. You never know who you're going to run across and who you might be helping in the end. You may feel like it's an organization that you're not that familiar with, and you may feel like will this be used to the best of their ability? And typically it always is. I really don't have much problem worrying about that. When we attend the different events, which, like I said, we try to attend a lot of them just because we like to see, what they're doing, what worked, what didn't. If we donated this particular kind of item and, it was in the live auction, but it didn't really bring that much money, is it because that particular item didn't fit the people who were here? Was it just, a bad night and the jewelry lovers weren't there? So if you're at the events, you can kind of figure out, what works, what doesn't, what's best. And when we go to these events, it's always interesting to see, because you'll go to these events and you'll see the same people at every event. Or you'll go to one event and the crowd is totally different. And it just depends on, you know, the event, and if it's, you know, whatever the cause, charity, the organization is, you have certain people who support that charity, and you have certain people who support anything and everything that they can possibly support. But then you have others, so you have the same people, and then you have some that overlap, and then, you know, so if you go to the event, then you see the crowd that's there. You see if this particular event typically draws more of a younger, more contemporary type person, if this event draws more of a traditional classic type person, then you'll know next year if you help them, then the event that has the more traditional classic people, you don't donate the contemporary, very artsy necklace. You donate something more traditional and mainstream. Your basic, your diamonds, your pearls, your big 3 colored stones, or something like that. So that obviously, if we're going to give them an item or design an item, you want it to be something that they're going to make the most money that they can. So we found that by attending the events, we get a little better feel for the people that are there and what jewelry we think will actually bring them in the most money. And hopefully, we've picked up a few clients along the way as well. The time factor usually is what determines whether or not we do a custom piece for the event. If they give us enough heads up and we have plenty of time to design it, because we like to work with whoever's heading it up at the organization. We like, we don't want to just design something and throw it at them. We want to get their input. We want them to feel good about what we're giving them also, because they in turn also know who's going to be at the event and who's probably going to be the one bidding on it. And if they have certain people that always come, then they might think that they have certain ideas of pieces of jewelry that would work best for that. So as long as we have enough time, we're usually happy to always do a custom piece. And if not, we'll donate something else. That's not a problem at all. We've tried to encourage our daughter, as we've raised her, to be involved and to give back to the community as well. We've got her now working. She works with the March of Dimes events. Nikki's been nice enough to let our 12-year-old help with some of her events, so that way she gets to get out there. She gets to see what is going on, and what we're actually donating to and why it is important. We've tried to encourage her in different ways. Mark is a Kiwanis member, and the Kiwanis Club puts on Plum Alley Day every year, and we've been out there at 6 o'clock in the morning setting up tables and chairs, and she's been out there with us. And this year, with our move to Main Street, we're not going to be able to donate our time to that organization just because we're going to be now kind of in the middle of the whole Plum Alley Day festivities. So in turn, we've signed on to be one of the corporate sponsors for this year, because we're not going to be able to donate our time. So we tweak it as it goes. We try to always, like I said, try to support the Plum Alley Day, just because Mark is a Kiwanis member, and we know the good things that they do as far as helping children's charities. And since we can't do our time, we're going to do a corporate sponsorship for that one. I think even as an individual, whether you are looking at this from a business perspective, or we also need to balance it as an individual. I don't want people to always think they're always giving this to help the business. That's what they're always doing. I mean, we try to also help at our church. I've worked Vacation Bible Schools and help different activities there at our schools, and we're bagging food at EFIA is one of the big things that my daughter's youth group does. So we encourage that. She's gotten old enough now that she doesn't want mom and dad to tag along. She wants us to drop her off and her go and her do her thing with her friends. So so we're kind of having to back off a little bit there. But like I said, as a whole, Goodman Jewelers is trying to support the community as much as possible. We try and do it in various ways, whatever is needed, and we try and as like I said, as long as the community supports us, then we will support the community in return. And these are just, you know, some of the ways that we do it. I don't know, you guys might have some questions, or if you have any ideas of things that I can be doing that I'm not. I certainly would love to hear that.
Well, first I want to thank you because Michelle, I was on the Breakfast Spring Ball Board and Committee, and I think one of the things that they did that is a wonderful marketing statement is Mark designed a ring, and it was very unique looking, and we sold raffle tickets for that ring, and it was the biggest buzz in town.
Yeah,
And so the marketing for them on that was, you know, look what he can design, and look what I might win for. I think the tickets were $50.
You guys used to do it a little differently than some others. You guys, I don't know if you did it every year this way, but I know at least one year you sold, tickets were $100 each, but you sold only a limited number. So yes, it was a little higher price tag on the raffle ticket, but your odds of winning were a whole lot better. Some other organizations, you know, they'll even do, you know, $25 tickets or $20 tickets just to sell more tickets. But you guys, I know a couple of times did a limited number, and that, I think that actually helped the buzz of it, because it made it seem more valuable to buy that ticket.
Well, and you know, the thing about it is, I had a gift shop, and so we used to give all kinds of auction items also. But what you find in community organizations is, if you are going to market through supporting the community, you have to make sure that whatever you put out there represents your name. So it can't be some cheap,
Right.
you know.
Yeah, that's one of the big rules of the marketing on the charitable end is, don't give them the stuff that's been sitting in your cases for 2 years, because if nobody wanted it, they're not going to want it at that event either. So, and that's not the impression you want to give. You want to give them something nice.
Right. And so, you know, and that's the thing is, if you don't do something impressive or valuable when you're doing this marketing for community involvement, you can actually hurt your
Right. It can have a downside.
Yes, it can, but I think that Mark and Michelle came to town, and their name recognition came from some of the pieces of jewelry that he designed and contributed to different types of organizations, and so, you know, it prevented them from having to spend a lot of money, I think, on advertising.
All other forms.
and all the things to let people know that he did design jewelry.
Right.
So, I had some personal experience with it. Here's the thing that I also had personal experience with, and I wonder how you came to this. We had once people realized that our little small business on Main Street was willing to participate in community organizations, everybody, whether they supported your business or not, was in there asking for something. So do you all sit down once a year and you decide how much, you know, how many organizations you're going to be able to contribute to?
We kind of sit down and we have our organizations that we've helped for years that we, you know, are always still on the list. And then we kind of have to figure out, you know, because like you said, I mean, that's one of the biggest things that I hear from my new employees. If I have a new employee, after about a month, they're like, I cannot believe how many people come through this door asking for something. You know, because if you've never worked in it or been around it, you don't have a clue. And it's one of those things that we have our list of, you know, organizations and things that we're going to continue to support. And then we kind of have, you know, a few others that are kind of like, you know, well, we know this organization's going to have this stuff going on in the coming year, and then you have, and I don't mean this in any derogatory way at all, but we have a lot of churches come to us asking for different donations for things, and I'm just one we're a little hesitant to give to everything if it's not something I personally know that I'm familiar with. And that's kind of where we also have the whole personal sponsorship thing. You know, I can't support your child and sponsor your child for this because everybody else that's competing for that, they're going to come to me and expect me, you know, well, you support it. I actually got this one time from someone who came in and asking for a personal sponsorship, and that's exactly what I told them. I said, I don't do personal sponsorships. And she said, well, your Chilhowie store did for so-and-so. And I'm like, well, I don't run the Chilhowie store. You are welcome to go ask them to sponsor you. You know, I don't really know what else to tell you there. But that's just kind of, you know, that's just kind of my hard and fast rule on that one is I don't do personal sponsorships. Not because I might not support your child, you know, but I can't have my name out there behind Dana's child and, you know, not have it behind yours. So, you know, that's just a rule we just came up with, and we're just kind of sticking to it. And a lot of it, what I do a lot of times is, you know, if it's not someone I'm familiar with or an organization that I'm familiar with, I'll just say, if you'll leave me the info, you know, Mark and I will sit down, you know, we sit down usually every week or 10 days or something and look at anything that we're not familiar with. And, you know, I can do a little bit of research, you know, if it is something that I don't know anything about, you know, because like you said, you don't always want your name associated with everything. So that's kind of how we handle that one is, like I said, the no personal sponsorships, and then, you know, please leave it with me, and, you know, we'll get back to you at that point. So,
Plus,
yes.
on an accounting perspective, you know, tax-wise, you are either losing profit on inventory or you're writing checks, and sometimes it's easier to write a check because that's tax deductible right off the top. So,
Right.
So you do have to pick some major
Yeah.
organizations, and then, you know, and then have some kind of floor, some kind of ceiling on what you're going to do.
Right. Yeah. And you know, regardless, it's money out of our pocket, however we do it.
Right.
And, you know, there are some things that are more beneficial tax-wise, and, you know, that's where you need to get in with ask your accountant and, you know, figure out, you know, yes, you have less inventory if you're donating items, but you have this, you know, check as your receipt right off the bat on other things too. So it just depends on the situation. You have something?
I was curious, how do you investigate somebody to see if it's a legitimate thing or not? I mean,
Yeah.
we have so many people come to us needing, wanting.
And a lot of that is, you know, you have to take it back to whatever the organization is that they are. You know, if they're coming in and they're asking for a door prize for, you know, the Green Springs Volunteer Fire Department, you know,
You
know that kind of stuff. Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
if they come to you and they're with something you've never heard of, you know, there again, you know, nothing else, you know, you sit down and you Google and you Facebook and you see, you know, what you can find. It's amazing what all you can find if you just type in the right words. And then, you know, if it's something that you think someone else might, you know, or if they happen to mention, you know, so-and-so is also donating to this, you know, another business, you know, call them. You know, do you know
How do you
anything
know
about
these
this
people?
organization?
How do you know where your money's going?
Right, because, you know, if it's something you're not familiar with, you know, I've done that before with someone who came in and said, you know, so-and-so has given me this. I'm like, okay, well, leave me your info, and then I'll call so-and-so, you know. What can you tell me about this? Because I'm not familiar with it. So sometimes I do stuff like that also.
Good.
Yeah. Because, you know, a lot of times there are other businesses that they'll mention that are helping the organization. So. Yes?
From a business perspective, do you, and maybe this is not the right word, do you take advantage of the work you're doing and promote it?
I do promote it some, yes. The most recent one that we promoted to some degree was the Cancer Outreach Foundation that they just had their annual Gala of Hope that they had in February. I guess it is promoting it to some degree and taking advantage of it they were like promoting it on their Facebook page, and I would also promote it on my Facebook page. Another thing that we do a lot of times if the charity is going to be raffling the item, a lot of times they ask for us to keep the item in our store, and we keep it on display with a big sign, what it's for, and I also have raffle tickets. So part of my promotion of the item is, if you want to come try on this ring, you know, see if you like it. If you want to buy a ticket, you know, I've got the tickets too. And that way they don't have one board member who's got the item. You know, it's in a central location. It's, you know, if it's something very valuable, they don't have to worry about keeping up with it, because it's, you know, it's in our store. It's under lock and key all the time, put in the safe at night. And then it's also one that, you know, like you said, it increases foot traffic for us, because it will, you know, it'll bring people in the store to see the item, try it on, buy the tickets, you know, so that can be beneficial in some ways. Yes, that's probably the area that I probably promoted the most. If it's something like that, you know, all of my donations going out to everything else, usually, you know, I'm just giving them. And I've been negligent the last few months just because I've been very busy. But a lot of times on our Facebook page, I'll even put at the end of every month, you know, we donated X number of money and or items to organizations. I don't list the organizations or details or anything else. Just to give people a tally, and that is promoting it on our end. But I also do it for the counter, the flip side of it of, you know, we're doing this, you know, hopefully others will be too. So.
I'm sure like March of Dimes and your bigger organizations, they want to work with you as far as helping you promote, like, okay, provide me your logo and we'll put it on our material. Do you ever have small organizations that you want them to help you advertise, but they don't ask?
I usually kind of leave that up to the smaller organizations, and I realize like the smaller ones, a lot of times they don't have the money and the ability to do a lot of that. You know, if they list me in their program as a thank you to these businesses, and I'm good. You know, if I don't get listed, I'm good. I've donated it because I want to donate it. If I get something back out of it, then that's icing on the cake.
So in the larger items, like you know, so back to the ring, do you sit down with the organization and you talk to them about, are they doing press releases? You know, how are they getting the information out? Because,
Yeah.
you know, press releases, which by the way, we have kind of like a press release on the knowledge show.
Yeah, that's one I haven't watched.
But you know, press releases are, as Jim Maxwell told us during that class, if it's for a nonprofit organization who's raising money for the community, they will publish those free of charge, and those are, you know, those are some of the best
Right.
advertising tools.
Yeah, different organizations have done different things. I know, and maybe even NIKKI, she's gone on like WCYB and taken whatever we were donating before. The other organizations, you know, we usually at some point in the conversation, you know, if they are doing anything, you know, we usually have them take the item or you know, market it in some way. And some of them are better about promoting their event than others. And I guess I always feel like I don't want to step on their toes because I don't want to tell them how to do their business. That's what that's what they're doing. So, you know, if it comes up in conversation, you know, as we're talking about the event and what they have planned, you know, yeah, I'm going to, you know, ask them, you know, I'll send you my logo and, you know, if you want to take the item with you to whatever. I know we've had, I don't know if it was Cancer Outreach or JMH Foundation, but different ones of them have, you know, come by and picked up the item, and not just NIKKI doing the new news, but they've come and picked up the item because they were going to be attending something. And I think I can sell some tickets, especially if I have the item, you know, so they'll do it that way too. And a lot of it is, you know, is word of mouth. But as we all know in business, word of mouth can help or kill you. So, you know, so I guess that's probably one of the reasons I'm a little hesitant to push the how much are you going to, you know, market me, because the bottom line is I'm still donating this because I want to donate it.
One thing that I've actually had success with is if they ask me to put something in their program.
Right.
To the event.
Yes. see how many come through the door, because you know it came from that event.
You know, and if you just say a special prize, well, you could take something that you have, you know, like marketing stuff that I would have, like maybe coffee mugs or something in the back, and
Right.
bring up front and tell the people, you know, someone comes in with this coupon, give them one of these, or, you know, that, and put their name on the list, or,
Right.
you take the coupon, and it's just a great way to track things. I'm all, you know, and I understand the community is so important, that I had a job one time where they, and it was for a large, accounting firm in Norfolk, Virginia. They asked me to regroup all of their donations and sponsorships because they had gotten out of hand. I was new to the community and I didn't know anybody, so I made some mistakes, but I turned a couple people down that the boss would be like, oh, you know, and I'm like, well, I need a list from you of who I don't turn down, you know. But, you know, I mean, they had been in business for over 20 years, so there was people that was, and they were very big in the community. And then at the end of the whole thing, it took about a year and a half to try to wrestle it back in. They decided to give each employee $100 that they could use for
Donate to whatever they want.
donations. Oh, that's nice.
That's a good idea.
So, because they got, and some people never used it, and I had to keep track of it all, but some people, you know, used, you know, 50 here and 50, you know,
Right.
they might have a child in a dance recital, or, you know, a baseball team, or
Right.
whatever, but that way they had some, you know, and then people got really smart, they started saying, well, you can use your money, you know, I'll borrow, you know, so they would borrow.
Yeah.
They were accountants, so they were very, you know, so I was like, whoa. But you know, it was a very generous thing to do, because the money was allocated.
Right.
Whether they used it or not, that, you know, so it made everybody really happy.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's one I haven't thought of. That brings up another one that I kind of had to tiptoe lightly around. We have, like I say, I have a 12-year-old daughter, so, you know, she's got tons of friends on all these different ball teams. And you would have, you know, this friend's family saying, will you sponsor my son's baseball team? And you got this friend's family, will you sponsor my daughter's softball team? So then, you know, you could have 20, 30 different people asking you. So kind of what my rule on that one is, you know, I help sponsor Little League. You know, I do Little League as a whole, doing, you know, either ads or whatever, you know, whatever that we're doing with them. And that way you don't get into, but to me that kind of crossed back over into the individual sponsorship again. You know, even though it's still a team, you know, if I've got, you know, Jake's team and John's team and Ethan's team and, you know, all these different ones, you know, that way you're not picking and choosing friends either. So that's kind of how I've addressed that one, is just, you know, if, instead of certain boys baseball teams, I've helped with Little League as a whole and things like that. So that way you don't step on any toes on that line either.
Have you ever had anybody that sits on a board of a nonprofit or community program and kind of come and put the pressure on you, even though you know it's not a program you want to support? Have you had that?
I actually haven't had that experience. I've been fortunate there. I'd be welcome to ideas. Anybody who has it could give me a heads up before it happens.
It's okay to say no.
That was gonna be my question, is how do you say?
How do we say no? A lot of times it's just, you know, it's a matter of, you know, I've tapped out my budget that I have allotted.
That's a
And
good one, we always use that.
and a lot of times that's true. It's like, you know,
Yeah.
because when we sit down, like Kathy was asking, you know, do we sit down at the beginning of the year, whatever, you know, we kind of, the ones that we know we're going to help, we kind of estimate about how much. So then we know we've got this much left in a ballpark to help others. And, you know, and if it's May and I've already spent a lot of the other, you know, I've got, you know, this much money left, you know, I'm tapped out of that budget, you know. It's unfortunate, it happens, but, you know, you have to do that to some degree.
But it's funny, once you say no, when you say, you know, the money's not allocated this year,
Mhm.
and especially for that company that I had to start telling people no, that had been saying yes. And I would just say, you know, we sat down and decided what to, you know, what
Right.
we're gonna support, and that money's not allocated. Usually they just go away, and they go, okay, you know, when they
And I'm sure
start
they hear,
targeting somebody
yeah,
else.
and I'm sure they hear it a lot, though. I mean, I'm sure that's something that,
I mean,
yeah.
you really do.
I can see though, if you don't have a plan in place, you could be spending lots and lots of money that you don't
You'd be
realize.
surprised.
If you don't have some kind of control over it. You know, no is one thing, but
we average anywhere depending on the year and depending on the events and what, like I said, some events, if we get enough heads up, we'll do a custom piece. Typically, the custom pieces that we're doing cost us a whole lot more. So, you know, it may be one of those things that this particular year, all the bigger events, they don't come to us in time to actually pull off, you know, and I'm not gonna do a custom piece quickly and it not be to the standard that I want, you know. So, you know, if it happens to be a year, though, that 3 or 4 different things hit us and we do big custom pieces for those, I mean, we've averaged, I started keeping a little better track on a lot of this in the last several years, but we've averaged probably the last 8 or 10 years anyway, anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000 a year that we donate, whether it be a $25 gift card for, you know, a door prize to a $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 ring, you know. So it, you know, like I said, you know, it can be anywhere from a low of probably 15 to a high of 25.
You know, I kind of got to the point that I came up with a customer, I don't know, rewards program, whereas if, you know, if they have been in the shop or in the store X amount of times, you know, we had this little card that we had a whole bunch that had a design in it that nobody else had. And so if they had a card, then we would contribute X dollars
Right.
to the charity of
Their choice.
But, you know, if you're on Main Street, if you're not sitting behind an office door somewhere, I can promise you on a daily basis,
Oh, yeah.
well, let's say weekly, on a weekly basis, you'll have at least 5 people. You know, and
Yeah, like I
that's
said,
a
that's
small number.
that's one of the biggest surprises when I have a new employee. That's one of their biggest things that they're like, wow, I never realized how much businesses get hit up for
But,
donations.
I mean, it is great for business, as long as you're not, you know, word gets out, and,
Yeah.
you know, people don't feel that commitment to you, you know. I've had people, I can remember people saying, well, no, I'm gonna get my hair cut here, but,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I'm like, well,
Oh yeah, there's people that I've never seen before that are in asking.
I had a problem with
So I want you to speak up. I can't hear.
haircut, and I charged the whole $20 at the time to cut their hair. And they were in this pretty big job, and they were starting a new program. And that $20, I mean, she had a spell and tried her best to keep from paying. She said she never paid $20 for a haircut. And about 3 months later,
Did you say, well, that's
came and
obvious?
asked me to sponsor this program. She never came back to do her haircut again, and came and asked me to sponsor a program.
Yeah,
And
and that's,
I thought, do people not understand that the only reason as a small business that you can contribute is because
Because
they're
the
supporting
community
your
is
business.
supporting, right, and that's why I said our whole philosophy is as long as the community supports us, we will give back to the community. I mean, you know,
Right.
so as long as
But you
business
can't give away
prospers.
what you don't have.
Right. If I don't, you know, if no one's shopping with me, then I have no money to donate. So
Exactly.
I'll have my time.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
I'll have my time.
And sometimes your time is.
And
worth a
time is
whole
very
lot more.
valuable.
Yes,
Time is not to be laughed at. I mean, that is one of the things that, you know, like I said, you know, even if I'm not donating anything, if I'm there, you know, working at that school event or, you know, helping at Bible school at church or whatever else, you know, you're still active and involved in the community.
Right.
You're still giving back on some level. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't have to be anything expensive. And, you know, I guess that's a lot of it, too, is, you know, you don't have to be someone who can afford to, you know, design that custom ring and you know, give that valuable piece of jewelry to the event. You can come and help them work it. And, you know, you can make lots of new networking contacts that way just by helping at events too.
There is one thing I'd like to interject about that I think as a small business person, especially if you're new to being in business, is clarifying exactly what it is that you're donating. We had a situation where we had recently we bought out the company, said and done, it was $11,000 out-of-pocket project.
Oh, wow.
And, yeah, it was like, okay, well, we just used up the year's budget, you know, on one company, you know, one project to support one group.
Right.
So sometimes, and I think it depends on what your business is, but being very specific about what you will donate
Right.
before you put yourself out there.
Or up to a dollar amount.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, because I've seen a pair of earrings, we used to sell Pandora Camilla. And I've seen one pair of earrings, you could say an earring and charms. Well,
Those things can go for a lot
Yeah.
of money.
absolutely,
than you think.
the difference in the cost of the charms were great. So I do think that when you contribute to things, do you put a price limit on things? that
We
you-
don't always put a price limit necessarily. We kind of have like in our head a range, you know. Like I was saying, the event next month for the JMH Foundation that we're doing, you know, they're going to win the custom design piece of, they're going to make their own choice. That is something that I think we have a dollar limit on it, you know, up to $4,000
If they
or
want to pay
$5,000.
more, they
And if they want to design something that costs more than that, basically they have that much credit. But that's actually the first time we've ever done that particular thing. So I'm anxious to see if it gets as good a response and they sell all the tickets, and if the people, you know, really take to that as well. I know certain clients of mine, because I've been with them at some of these events and standing around while one of our items was being live auctioned at one of these events, and she was actually bidding on the piece because she loved it. But once it got to a certain amount, she literally said, well, if I'm going to go more than that, I'm going to come in and let you design what I want specifically.
Right.
So, you know, so I'm hoping that it actually goes over well, because I want them to sell all the tickets and make the money. But it, like I said, it's the first time we've done that, so I'm anxious to see how it works out and if it gets as much response.
Do you, I was involved with an organization that had a silent auction, and they had a handmade piece of furniture. And there weren't many people at the event, so the piece of furniture really didn't bring very much money. And the person that donated it pulled it. And
Oh,
they're like,
really?
"No, we're," you know. So do you ask them about ticket sales or
No, I don't ever, you know.
minimum bids
No,
or any of that
I
stuff?
usually, if it's something I'm donating. You know, there it goes back to you want them to get as much as they can for it. You know, I would be lying if I said that I have never been disappointed, because I have at events before. I've been disappointed at what something brought. But, you know, just knowing just basic how much it costs to make the item by the time you count materials and labor and everything else, yes, I've been disappointed. But that also goes back to when you go to an event like that, especially where something's being auctioned, it depends on who shows up that night.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can have, and it depends on, you know, whatever you're auctioning, whether it be a trip or jewelry or furniture or whatever it is, it depends on who's in that room. And, you know, one of the things that was auctioned, this was years ago, and I think it was at one of NIKKI's March of Dimes events, was a necklace that I had designed that was a star. And her theme that year was a Hollywood theme. So I just took the whole Star of Hollywood take on and it was a very simple, plain star with diamonds in the points. Just something very, like I said, very simple, not ornate, nothing, you know, overly fancy, nothing with a huge price tag on it. But it went for more than I ever thought it would. But it just so happened that whoever was there bidding on it that night, they just really liked that piece. But now I've donated other things that were more elaborate, more expensive, you know, cost a whole lot more to make, and they brought very little money in comparison, you know. So you do walk away, you know. But at the same time, I've donated it. What they get out of it, they get. You know, you want them to get obviously as much as they can. Yes.
I'm with the Margaret Mitchell Spay News.
Mhm.
And so one of the things that
pay money for the event, like your wolf stock coming up. Mhm.
Exactly. And so we're trying to explore other options. So my question is, do you have any nonprofits that you sponsor just as a whole, rather than as just a specific event? And if you do, or even if you don't, what does a nonprofit have to offer if we were soliciting corporate sponsorships?
Right.
What do we have to offer as far as back to our sponsors?
I don't have anyone that I actually sponsor in that regard. Most of the things that we do are for actual events. So I honestly would probably have to step back, and Mark and I would have to talk about it and maybe talk to our accountants too, see from that end if there is a way that would be better.
Shelley, you do actually do something.
Oh, do I? What do I do?
Fund the mission.
Oh, that's right, we do fund the mission. I forgot about that. At NIKKI's event, and I'm going to be quiet here in a minute and let Nikki get up and give you her spiel. Nikki does something at the March of Dimes event that they do a fund the mission. So you actually make a donation to actually support March of Dimes as a whole. I didn't really think about that as far as being in that, but that does go in that realm. So that's something that, you know, we would need to sit down and just look at. I guess other than that, I don't think I've ever been approached, because usually people come to us wanting an item for this event. So
And
that's
one thing
typically.
you can do is you can just ask people to support your cause or mission.
Come on out. This is Nikki Hicks. She is with the March of Dimes, and she has agreed to come and give the charitable
I didn't mean to
organization
cut in like
side
this.
side of things. So
But
I'll back up and let her talk.
That's one thing that you can actually do is to promote your mission. Ask people to give to the mission, because when they're giving to you without giving to an event or giving a donation, such as an item or something, that mission gift is 100% tax deductible. And that's what those organizations and those individuals like to hear. Because when they're giving to a sponsorship, when you back off the cost of the things that are in that sponsorship, that it's not necessarily, like for example, if they're purchasing a table at one of our events, they have to back off the cost of the food, the table, and everything else, and it's not 100% tax deductible. But if they're just giving to your cause, that's 100% tax deductible. So that's a way to approach that. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
That's
cut in.
okay.
I wasn't actually.
No, that was good.
But that's, you know, the biggest thing, and that I would look at when it comes to that. And when you're actually looking, this was one of the things I was going to talk about, when you're looking to give to your charity or to pick those charities, I think it's very important for you to be very specific on, everybody, you know, has their own thing. Not everybody wants to give to one organization and another, and it's okay. It really is. I hear no all the time. And that's okay. I can deal with that. Do I want you to tell me no? No, I don't. Of course, I want your support and with the March of Dimes, and in any way I can get it, whether it's volunteering or your time, like you guys have talked about. You all have hit almost every point that I was going to make here today. But, you know, look at those organizations that have the same target audience that you do. Look for those organizations. Like for us, for example, our number one target audience is moms. We're a national organization. And that's another thing that you have to look at, national versus local. A lot of people have this fear of national organizations because they don't know if that money's coming back into the communities or not. And you know, in most cases, that money's coming back into the communities, whether it's tangible or intangible. We're lucky because we actually have grants. The Moms Club program, the Baby Basics program that she was talking about just a minute ago, that's one of our grants. That's one of our grants that we fund locally here in the community. But, you know, intangible things that come back to everybody in the whole state of Virginia, for example, with us especially, everybody in this room has been touched by the March of Dimes, whether you know it or not. You are a March of Dimes baby just because you've had a polio shot. You may not have been born premature. Your mom may have had you at that 39 weeks, and that's because of March of Dimes. And all the newborn screening tests that happen and the APGAR test and all those things that happen when you're born, that's because of March of Dimes. So other organizations that are national are the same as well. So you really need to, like you were saying, research organizations and see if that's something you want to promote as well. But it's always good. Promoting organizations and being part of those organizations. There's so many ways that you can get involved and so many ways it can help you. You were talking a minute about, not overgiving and set a contract. It's my job to provide you with the best customer service possible when I'm a charity. And sit down and have a contract with me. We do exploratory meetings all the time to see what fits with your organization and fits with our organization, and then we write it up in a contract. So those things don't happen. And, expect that from your other charities that come and see you, too. Do you have?
What's the
good, so
top,
you may want to talk.
if I come to you and with an ask, what are the things that you look at? Because I tell small business owners all the time to get involved in the community, but also, and part of marketing is that, I'm only listening to probably 70% of what you're saying. It's how I present that. So if you were to give someone the top 4 or 5 tips, if you're part of a nonprofit or you're looking for contributions, what would you suggest? If the ball was in your court, what would you suggest?
I guess for me personally, it would probably be, I'm a big proponent of, does my money stay local? And not only just the money staying local, is it an organization that I feel like I am comfortable putting my name behind? Is it something that unfortunately we're human. I'm going to support the things that affect me personally the most. Like I said, I guess part of the reason I'm drawn to NIKKI is because I'm a mom. We help March, I'm a mom. We've helped with Margaret Mitchell's Spay and Neuter Clinic because we have pets. We like animals. Cancer Outreach Foundation, like I said, Mark and I are both cancer patients ourselves. So we know the things that they have done to help other patients in the community. The JMH Foundation, my hospital right here, not only did I work there for 15 years, but it's my local hospital where I see physicians and that kind of thing. So I feel like, it's got to be something that I feel like, local is best. If it is a national organization, is my money going to still stay, local for the most part? I realize they have national expenses and things like that too that have to be deducted. Is it something that I feel like is still going to be give a good reputation for Goodman Jewelers, for somebody to see my name with that organization, and is it something that that I personally feel drawn to? And it's not there again and then that goes all the way back to you're helping in your schools and your volunteers or your EMS and your fire and everything else. There's pretty much everything we help with, we feel like affects us in some way anyway. And we are, not only are we benefiting from what they're already doing, but we're trying to make it better.
And so, Nikki, do you have any policies for nonprofits that may be listening of how to be successful in recruiting a business like Michelle's? What are the things that you do that is successful in recruiting contributions?
Okay, she asked, what do we do that makes us successful in recruiting, and how other charities can also look at that. One thing, first of all, we look at our target market. A lot of it's hospitals, a lot of it's, nurses, doctors' offices, and, we also look at businesses that support moms and babies and who their customers are and how we can make that connection with them. Like I said, we go in, we sit down with these businesses and we have exploratory meetings, and anything that we do when it comes to sponsorship, and we go in to make a large ask for sponsorship, we don't go in with this big old piece of paper with a list of sponsorships. That's one thing that we try to stay away from. We first go in and hear what that organization is telling us, because we have found a lot of companies, they don't care whether they get their logo on the back of that t-shirt or not. It's not important, especially some of our bigger companies. They want the experience for their customers and for their employees. They want their employees involved. They want their employees to be part of if we're having an event, they want their employee to be up there on stage talking, being supportive of the event. They want that recognition that way. They want that mission recognition. We went into a meeting not too long ago, and they absolutely said, I don't care about where my logo is. I want to make sure it's a positive experience for my employees, because it's team building also for their employees. There's just different ways that we as an organization will work with the companies to figure out the best fit for them. And, it may not be through, we have all these events that we do throughout the year. We have organizations that may not be wanting to do March for Babies, but they might want to be doing our signature chef's auction. That fit is something. And then we have some businesses around here that do all of our events, so we go in with one ask for the whole year, because I know y'all don't want to see me anymore than you have to throughout the year, constantly asking businesses for money. And that's a big thing. Like you said, you get hit all the time. So if I'm going to go in and ask you for specific things, I'm going to lay it out for you all at one time so I don't have to come back to you later in the year. Also, when you go in, look at their budgeting calendar year. I think that's important. Some are July to July, some are, January to December. You really need to find out what that organization's or company's budgeting is, and when you need to go in with that ask. And everybody's different. I think we're very fortunate here in our community, because everybody does give that can, and it's, we have a very supportive community. And I think if you are told no as a charity, accept that, because they do get hit up all the time. They really do, especially the smaller businesses. And you see how much they do. It's just amazing how much they give. And we have several companies in our community that do that. Did I answer?
Yeah, I know I'm not coming to Kathy for an ask.
Yeah, I know. Don't ask Kathy for money.
Honestly, I realized that we just had to pick.
And you do.
I have two big organizations
Right.
that I contributed to.
Right.
Then I became a member of the Rotary Club,
Right.
so that was another organization. And then we had, what I did at the time, I had two children in school. So I contributed to the sports and organizations that
They were in. Right.
Right.
It's
And-
personal experience.
Right. And so, I guess the message throughout all this is, if you strive to do something, and if everybody would strive
Right.
to do something,
Right.
Everybody's needs are met.
Right.
And also, as a nonprofit, it's up to me to make sure that your needs, as you are giving to me, are met, and for me to provide you with the best customer service I possibly can, because we go in and we talk to so many businesses, and I've actually had businesses tell me, well, we're not working with this charity anymore because they didn't do this, and this. I make a mental note of that, and I make sure those things are checked off my list. So those are important too.
Yeah, and I will say, having been in marketing for many years, when people, whether it's a small business
Right.
or big charities come, you were talking about the logo not being important. It kind of was important to me.
Right.
So I guess maybe the owner of the company
Right.
might say they don't care, but if I'm in that meeting, I'll be like,
Right.
Like,
And
I do want
that's me. That's my position to try to figure out
Yeah.
that that's important to
It
you.
is, and
Like-
because I usually would go and check and
Right.
make sure, I would ask people if they were going to attend an event to bring me back
Right.
the
Absolutely.
booklet. I would want a T-shirt from the event, so
Absolutely.
I would go back and
do your checklist. You have your own checklist,
Yeah,
and each
and
company.
I do, because that's my
Right,
responsibility
right.
as, you know,
Right.
marketing for our company.
And it's my
Yeah.
responsibility to make sure your checklist
Absolutely.
is
And
checked
The
off.
other thing I wanted to say was, as a recipient of not normally businesses like yours, because you guys are usually very organized and your type of business, but small, you know, organizations that bring to you and say, well, you sponsored this, and then they'll leave the flyer up front or whatever, and then you get this flyer and you're trying to decide, and then when you make your decision, you look at, there's no phone number, there's no, you're just like, seriously,
Yeah.
I gotta drive by this place and tell them that, you know, they don't
Yeah.
have the proper information.
Right.
In fact, I have taken sheets before and corrected them
Right.
and said, you know, you need a place for our website, you need a place for our phone number, you need,
And
you
you
know, how
did-
do I get you my logo?
Right.
How do I get, you know, it actually sent it back to
Right.
them in the mail because there's
Right.
no phone number.
And
we're more
That's why
inclined to
I asked what, you
yeah.
know, on the top four, because you can tell if it's
Yeah.
legit or if it's a.
We're more inclined to
really good
donate if it's
organization. And
Well,
well
a lot of
organized
times
and
it was
easy to
like
donate to.
high school or a
Yeah.
group or something that just didn't know any better, but I'm like, I'm giving you a lesson in marketing
Right.
right now. You want some money, honey, let us get
And
in
that
touch
goes
with you.
and that goes to our volunteers as well. We
Yes.
have to treat our volunteers with the same respect and the
Yeah.
same, the same organization that you're expecting as well. So I don't want my volunteers and I don't want my teams for March for Babies and all my events that come up. I don't want them to have a bad experience
Right.
because it's that word of mouth. I'm a business just like you all. I'm a nonprofit, but I have to make sure everything is checked and correct. And I'm very lucky because March of Dimes is such a great organization that we go through so much training and they do things that are so, they look at markets and they look at, what is working here and what is working there and what is working nationwide. And then we try to take all of those core tactics that we learn and bring them back to our events and all of our things that we do. And, all of those core tactics, they may work in huge markets, but they may not necessarily work in some of our smaller markets. So I have to tweak them to make sure that they do work for everyone. So it's important.
And, as an organization, do you make sure that you don't just hammer on the same people if you have
Hammer, listen.
But, if you have more than one event going on, that Michelle sponsors something.
Yes.
else, you
Well,
sponsor this, but you don't
right.
go back to and say, okay, we do this,
Well,
and this.
that's what I was saying a minute ago. If I have an organization, like I have, like some of the hospitals, JMH, for example, I'll just use them. They have a March for Babies team that they come out and they walk and participate in, but they sponsor our signature chef's auction. So we have some companies that are like that want to do multiple events, and when I go in and talk to them, I try to go in and talk to them and say, this is what we have, what best fits you. And then I have some companies that just want to do one event, and we are an organization that we try to do one ask. I have one particular company that wants us to. They do both events, our major events, the chef's auction and March for Babies. They have in the past, and they want me to come to them 2 different times a year for both of those things. So it just really, I have to know my company, and I have to realize that I have committees for every event that I do. I have I have some volunteers that cross over to all of my events, but they're very few and far between. There may be 1 or 2, because I don't want them burnt out. And they get burnt out, and I know you all get burnt out from, all the charities and everything that you guys do too, because you have families and you have lives outside of work and your charity, and, you want to be able to do it all. I'm the world's worst for not saying no.
She's here.
I'm here. But no, I'm the world's worst for not saying no to things. And, like I said, it's okay to say no. It really is. And I understand that. And I know everybody has to say no for different reasons. But, yes, make sure that.
If you have to say no, don't give too much
too much reasoning, don't go into too many
Say
details.
It's not the budget this year. I'm just saying, well, no, we can't do it this year.
Right.
Quiet.
Yeah.
Right.
They're waiting for
Right.
an explanation, but I find that if you don't give a big explanation, that
Yeah.
silence
Silence
is
is your friend.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
But,
It's like, well, because of this, then you're rambling, and then I'm.
you know, but, you know, a good answer for that also is we can't necessarily do it this year or check back with this next year. And
Maybe they
maybe,
do.
yeah, they, right, and it's okay.
And that's okay, because things do
Yeah.
change from year to year.
Things do, and you know, people's ability to give changes from year to year. People's circumstances change from year
Right.
to year. So, you know, as a charity, if you're here and you're a charity, it's always good to follow back up. Don't leave them hanging out there. Don't leave that money hanging out there, as I like to say. Don't leave those volunteers hanging out there, but do follow up. Oh my
And do you
goodness.
give away remodeling tips?
Yeah. Oh, it's very expensive, though. Did you see it?
Yes, I saw you on TV. Did y'all see her on DIY?
No.
Oh,
Yes, she had an episode.
that's awesome.
Just about a month ago.
Yeah, it was last month. It was February 27th. It was on. Yeah. And our dog stole the whole show.
Yep.
Of course.
Huh? Yeah, we were on there. The dog remodeled the bathroom.
There you go. So, thank you all for coming. Thank you for presenting
Thank you.
today.
Thank
We
you.
certainly appreciate it. And next week, our own little guru here in the room, Miss Sandy Ratliff, is going to be doing iPad for Business. She updates her presentation every time she does it, and she always finds new and exciting apps. So even if you've already been to one of Sandy's classes, you still haven't seen what she's going to present the next time. So thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.
Ladies for praying.
And apps. So even if you've already been to one of Sandy's classes, you still haven't seen what she's going to present the next time. So thank you so much, and we'll see